Focus on yourself. Not because others don't matter, but because you do. Not because you're better than them, but because the moment you lose yourself trying to track everyone else's path, you forget why you're even here. And you are here for a reason that cannot be fulfilled by imitation, a reason that gets buried every time you compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel. Focus on yourself because distraction is the enemy of destiny. You don't need to watch how fast they're running. You don't need to measure your steps against their success. You don't need to pace your progress based on the noise outside of you, because none of that noise will build your peace. None of that noise will write your story. None of that noise will matter at the end. And yet we chase it. We refresh the feed, compare the numbers, drown our own voice in the applause of others, wondering why we still feel empty, still feel small, still feel behind. You feel behind when you abandon your own rhythm to march in someone else's parade. But focus is the return to self, the return to silence, the return to truth. You don't need to look around to know what's possible. You need to look within, because inside you is a current of clarity waiting to be heard, a direction already forming, a map with your name on it, not theirs. And when you focus on yourself, you stop chasing approval. You start creating alignment. You stop hustling for recognition. You start moving with intention. You stop living reactively, and you start living deliberately. Because that's what self-focus really is. It's not selfish. It's sacred. It's choosing to water your own roots, to sharpen your own mind, to stay so committed to your own elevation that comparison becomes a joke and gossip becomes irrelevant. You're not trying to win the game. You're building a new one where your joy doesn't depend on someone else's failure. One where your timeline is respected, not rushed. One where your growth is celebrated, not commodified. This is the power of inward focus. It quiets the chaos. It sharpens the edges. It reminds you were never meant to live deluded just to be digestible to the masses. You were meant to become, to evolve, to expand in silence, and let your life make the noise. So build in silence, train in peace, learn without the need to announce it, heal without needing the world to understand it, work like no one's watching, and grow like nothing can stop you. Because the more you focus on yourself, the less distracted you are by drama, the less reactive you are to rejection, the less addicted you are to being seen. You don't need to be seen when you're secure in who you are. You don't need to be understood when you understand your mission. And you don't need validation when your discipline is louder than your doubt. That's the beauty of focus. It returns your energy. It restores your power. It removes the need for permission because you already gave it to yourself. And from that place, everything changes. Your work deepens. Your voice strengthens. Your decisions get bolder. Your time becomes sacred. Your progress becomes inevitable. Because when you focus on yourself, you remember the real competition was never them. It was who you were yesterday. It was the version of you that settled, that delayed, that played small to fit inside a comfort zone built by fear. But that version is gone because you chose to stop watching others win and start becoming someone who can't lose. Because when you stop watching others win and start becoming someone who can't lose, everything inside you shifts. You stop living in reaction. You stop living in regret. You start living in real time. No more looking back. No more looking sideways. Only forward, only within. And when you live within, you begin to tap into something they can't teach. A kind of confidence that doesn't shout. A kind of power that doesn't flex. A kind of direction that doesn't detour every time someone else gets ahead. You stop needing to announce your progress because your peace already feels like a win. You stop trying to explain your pace because your purpose doesn't rush. You stop wondering if they're watching because you are. You're watching your own habits. You're watching your own thoughts. You're watching your own evolution, and that's more than enough. When you focus on yourself, you become the architect of your energy, of your identity, of your environment. You start curating your inputs. You start selecting your circle. You start protecting your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. And you realize you don't need a million followers to stay accountable. You need one commitment to your own standard. That standard becomes your compass. It tells you when to rest. It tells you when to rise. It tells you when to push. And it tells you when to cut the noise and return to the work. Because the work is sacred. Not the kind you do for approval. The kind you do for alignment. The kind of work that shapes your soul. The kind that sharpens your integrity. The kind that rewires every old narrative that said, stay small, stay safe, stay silent. Not anymore, because now you're focused. And focus is clarity. Focus is momentum. Focus is the fire that burns longer than motivation ever could. It doesn't care who's ahead. It doesn't flinch when others win. It doesn't spiral when life slows down. It stays grounded, committed, unapologetically inward. You're not avoiding the world, you're owning your world. And when you do that, when you focus on yourself so deeply that you become whole without needing a witness, you don't just grow, you glow. Not to be seen, but because you're finally lit from within. Lit from within, and that light doesn't flicker with opinion. It doesn't dim when others shine. It doesn't need a spotlight because it's rooted in identity. And when your identity becomes your foundation, you no longer live for applause, you live for alignment. You no longer ask, what will they think? You ask, is this true to who I'm becoming? That's the real shift. From outside in to inside out. From watching the world to building your own. From reacting to noise to responding from presence. You start protecting your focus like treasure. You stop trading your peace for popularity. You stop giving your attention to anything that doesn't grow you, because your attention is sacred now, and you no longer waste sacred things on shallow distractions. You've matured. You've outgrown the need to keep up. You've walked away from the urge to prove.